Hello. Today I have a really old iMac. I think this is from 2007. This is a 20-inch plastic-bodied iMac. It's a EMC 2118, model number A1207. It's got an Intel Core 2 Duo CPU in it, so it's probably worth saving. At this point, I'm not sure what's wrong with it. The customer complained of a couple things. He said that it was running very, very hot. There was a problem with the disk. The CD-ROM got stuck in the drive, and you had to pick up the Mac and tip it sideways. The disk fell out, but now every time you turn it on, you hear mechanical sounds like it's trying to look for the drive or the disk in the drive. But lately and currently, it just won't boot. You turn it on and you see the folder with the question mark. So this is kind of a typical Mac error when something has gone wrong. It usually means there's a problem with the hard drive or something with the boot system, but I'm about to find out. It's heavy. This thing, I don't know how much it weighs, but it's heavy. I'm gonna plug it in, plug in the keyboard, and see what happens. Oh, I might just use a wired mouse on this. Sounds like it's got a blown speaker, a blown subwoofer, so I can hear it looking for the disk. I'm not sure that is looking for the disk. I think that might be a cooling fan. I can hear the hard drive actually. That's the hard drive. Alright, so we have the flashing... I can't really see that, can you? The flashing folder, question mark folder on the gray screen here. So I'm going to try to reboot, but hold the Alt key, or Option key as they call it in Apple land. This key here. Okay, yeah, so I can hear the optical drive, but also I'm hearing the hard drive clicking. So I'd say this hard drive is done. I can see a mouse cursor. Something weird happening on that screen. No, it's seized. So I think I'm going to take the hard drive out of here and see if I can copy the hard drive and or boot off of the internal recovery system and get this Mac working again. I doubt, since the hard drive is making so much noise, I think it's probably unlikely that we'll be able to rescue any data off of it. But I don't think the data recovery is a big priority for the customer. But I will speak to him before making that decision for him. So I'm not sure how to open this up. There are screws on the bottom under here. There are two screws that hold the door for the access to the memory, and then there are 4 screws, 2 on either side, Torx screws, that I think hold this whole panel onto the Mac, but I'm going to look at some documentation and find out. Alright, I can see a lot of dust built up in the air vent here on the back of the Mac, so I'm just going to hoover that out quick. So I need to take the 2 screws off of the access door for the RAM. These are large Phillips, I think. Yep. Captive screws, good. Now I'll remove the Torx screws that are holding the front bezel in. There are 4 of them here. Okay, going back up here. So now the next step involves releasing some latches. Inside of here, there are 2 latches in the roof of the case that I have to put a card inside here to push up on that latch. And when that latch pushes up, I'm going to be able to remove the front bezel from the machine. So I need to stand it up, and we'll see what we can do here. I'm going to cut up an SSD case. This is probably too thin and flexible. Yeah. What if I fold it? folded it along the long edge. Okay. I'm going to make a thicker tool here. Alright, I got one side. I understand now. Alright, got the other side. Weird, but good. Okay, so there's my Mac bezel tool. Okay, now we need to lay this down on its back without closing the bezel, because I need to do some things. Okay, so here we go. So I need to push the little memory arms in and then lift up on the bezel, the front of the bezel. So I've got these screws out. Let's see. There it goes. Okay. A lot of dust coming out of there. Oof. So much dust. Okay, the microphone and webcam cables at the top are still attached. So I need to disconnect those. See them now, which is good. So these two cables up here. This one, it looks like I can just get at this. Yep. And this one, I think that's the webcam. There's a piece of tape holding that on. Well, there's a piece of tape covering it that I need to take off. It's really an awkward position. And then this cable should unplug down toward my desk. I'm gonna get a ceramic tweezers here and see if I can just push that down. Yep. Ta-da. Okay. That wasn't stressful at all. I'm trying to be very careful with that front bezel because it's plastic and it's quite old. And the last thing I want to do is break it. Alright, so let's go back up here and see what we can see. I need to remove, it's an EMI shield, this little plastic, it's actually, I don't know if it's actually plastic, but it blocks some of the radiation coming out of here so that you don't feel like your face is burned when you're using it, presumably. Might be so that you don't hear what's happening inside as much, radio interference and so on. It's just kind of stuck onto the bottom, but I've got most of it up except right here in the middle. I just don't want to tear it if I can help it. I've never seen one of these that hadn't been torn. It's torn a little bit in the corner. Oh no, it's not. There's two pieces glued together. So I think I can disconnect from that one. Probably the same over here. Yeah. Okay. So now I should be able to fold this back and out of my way. I'm gonna give this another hoover. One thing I remembered that I haven't done is to hold the power button in for 20 to 30 seconds just to be sure that all the power is discharged out of here. So I'm doing that now. I've got my hand behind the left side of the computer and I'm just holding the power button. Now, I need to remove the display. I need to remove this LCD panel. And in order to do so, I'll have to peel back this. There's some EMI shielding all around here that's covering, there are 4 Torx screws. The display connector is here, smaller Torx. I'm gonna put my grounding strap on so I don't shock this thing. So it's like a little metal plate that's held in by 2 Torx screws that's holding the display connector. So now this connector should pull straight up. There we go. Now the next steps will be find the 4 screws under this tape. I'll have to peel this tape back and then remove those 4 screws. I'll lift the display a little bit in order to unplug the, I don't know if it's inverter power or backlight power, but there are 2 other cables that are right next to the hard drive that I need to disconnect before this LCD panel will come out. Once the LCD panel comes out, we'll basically be able to see inside the whole Mac and we'll be able to access the hard drive. There's a lot of dust in here. So, how do I get at these screws? 1, 2, oh, I can see them, okay. Oh, no. My bits aren't very long. Let's see if my extension will get down there. These are larger Torx, T10, I think. Oh, that does not fit. It's quite a confined space. Actually, I'm able to get that one. It's going to be fun getting these back in there. Yeah, there's a big magnet. Well, so there's one. Where's the other one? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do that with these tools. Note to self, get a longer Torx set. Alright, so this EMI shield is attached to the display. Oh, there are 4 cables, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. So you can see inside there are 4 cables holding this down. This one is plugged in right here. So these are quite old, so I need to be careful not to break these connectors. The little dog ears off the edges of the connectors tend to break off when you pry them too hard. That one's come out. That's good. So now you go up a little higher and get that one out. All right. So now this LCD panel should be free, except it's stuck on the top. The EMI shield is glued to the top of the LCD panel. So this panel is glued in. I'm just pulling it free. Yeah, that's the right way to do it here. Go to the other side here, I think. Okay. So that's free. I need to disconnect my wrist strap so I can go and set this down in a safe place. So living under that shelf, it's unlikely to get kicked. Wow, the dust in here, jeepers. It's a bit better than it was. Okay. So it looks like this is the hard drive. I can see what looks like a SATA connector here. I could be wrong about that, but that looks like SATA. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna pull the drive out. There's gonna be a thermal sensor connection, I think, under this tape. So I'll just take these 2 screws out. Okay. So that's the drive free. Oh, there's the thermal connector, the thermal sensor connector. Ooh, I don't know if that'll go under that pipe or not. Kind of doesn't look like it. I might just need to rotate it a little bit. It is trying to come out the wide way. There we go. And then the SATA connector is here. Oh, that's an old hard drive. It's got the Molex power on it as well as SATA power. Jeez, I'm so dusty here. Okay, I'm gonna take this into the back and blow it out. I might set this back in there for a moment while I do this. I'll be back. All right, much better. There wasn't as much dust spread around the thing. It was concentrated on the fans, which is, I guess, a good design. I'm gonna go wash my hands. So I really can't read a Macintosh disk. If I put this into my disk copying setup, it won't do any, it'll show me the partitions, but I can't read what's on the disk. It looks like this thermal sensor, it looks to me like I can take the thermal sensor off of this drive, because it's just stuck onto the side, and put it on another drive. So I might do that. Okay. I'm going to start by trying to copy the contents of this drive. I'm just going to put it into my rig and see what happens. So I just got to take the post off of the side. It's the same size Torx. It's at T10. It's a nice design. Putting pegs in the one side and a bracket on the other. Okay. Let's see what we can see here. Ooh. I don't think we're going to have any success with this drive. It's clicking. No, I'm going to turn it off before I do any more damage. This drive is done. I'm going to try to get this little circuit board off the side. I think a bit of warm air, ironically. I'm just going to be very careful not to get this too hot. And then I will try to pry it with a plastic spudger. Yeah, that's going to come. Yeah, it's just double-sided tape. Okay, that's up. I mean, it's just like standard double-sided tape. It's probably going to be pretty easy for me to stick this onto the next drive. And that's good. This is a 250 gigabyte hard drive, so I'm going to pop a 250 SSD in there. And I'll have to figure out where to stick the thermal sensor on, but that shouldn't be impossible. I might flip this over so that it's tipped down toward me and easier to work on. Let me get some better light in here. Let's see. So I want the drive to live here, and the thermal sensor plugs in here. It's funny that thermal sensor cord ran under the main, there's a big heat pipe that comes up to a big radiator, comes down off of the back of the CPU, or the CPU and the graphics chip. I kind of feel like this might be a case where I'll want to use the metal brackets, although I'm not 100% sure about that. Let me just plug things in and see where it sits. So it'll go kind of like that, and this bracket was over there, so I'm gonna need, I could potentially just screw it into one of those brackets, but I think I'll put it on a proper hard drive bracket. Let's see what we got here. And I have another one of these metal bracket sets. I don't know if this is going to be appropriate for this or not. So this would screw onto here, and then this would screw onto here. Yeah, could see that working. I don't know if these screws are going to fit in this bracket very well. What are you guys looking at? People walking by the front of my shop looking up at the roof. So the threads are different. Maybe I'll use a plastic bracket. That way I won't risk wrecking these screws. So I have these plastic brackets, which are kind of the same thing. They're very similar to the metal ones. Well, no, they're not. They're not that similar. So my drive will mount in here. That'll sit in there. And the big question is, will this bracket fit nicely onto here? And I think it will. Alright, so there's that, and I'll put these pegs back in on the other side, or pins. They go same spots. Brilliant. Okay, so now I've rigged up my bracket with the 2 pins in the bracket that go on the other side, so then my SSD will slip in here. This will fit in to there and then screw down. Ah, this is good. Now I just need to screw the SSD onto the bracket. Whoops. Oh no. That screw went down into the power supply, so I need to get that out. Definitely. There it is. Okay. Probably shouldn't be doing this over that anyway. I'll do it like this. Okay. I mean, that looks intentional, doesn't it? That's great. So now this will go here. I'm going to plug it in like this so I can see what I'm doing. I have broken one of these before, these connectors, and wasted an SSD because I don't know where it went. I would try to resolder that today, but when I did it, I was too afraid. Okay, screw this back in. Right, that drive is mounted properly. And the heat sensor, boy, I would like to put this on this drive. Can I just go around this way? If I can. I'd like to go under this little bridge if possible. Alright. So now that plugs in to there. And then would stick on like there. So I'm going to break out the good double-sided tape, this German stuff that I use for adhering LCD panels. And I'm just going to take a little chunk of it and put that onto the sensor, cut the rest of it off. Need to be careful here. There it is. I mean, this tape is very similar to what was on here, so I'm hoping that it will work the same way. The way these tweezers aren't working very well ever since I got super glue all over them. Okay, I mean, what more could you want? That is a professionally mounted solid-state drive in an iMac. There's the temperature sensor plugged in. It's mounted with the original brackets into an aftermarket bracket. So let's put things back together. I'm gonna flip it around. Need to ground myself. First and foremost, do not drop the LCD panel. And that's not too bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna plug in those connectors over here again. Don't remember what that's called. I think that's still all good. So now where does that fit in there? I feel like that's about right. It's going to be a matter of getting those screws back in now. I'm going to turn this toward me. Work smarter, not harder, you know? Yeah, I need to get that stuff folded back away. There we go. I need to do that on the other side as well, I think. Are the screw holes lined up? Let us find out. This is going to be near impossible to get these screws back in. Okay. need for that to be a little more magnetized. I think that screw started actually. Okay, it did start. So now I just need to start this one, which is a little bit harder to bend back. That started, okay. Oh, it didn't start up here. I need a better way to pull this back and out of the way. It doesn't hurt my fingers. That started, okay. It's warm in here. Alright, here goes nothing. That's in. Oh, I can't believe it. Check the other side for tightness. Okay, that's tight. Ow. Really hurts my fingers. Okay, so that's in. I just need to connect the display connector. Put those two wee screws in. Those are tiny Torx, I think. Yeah. So that's what I'm calling them today. T5, I think. Okay. Well, that goes on top of that, doesn't it? I need to fold this bezel stuff back over. Oh, yeah, no. The cable for the webcam. Yep, that's still accessible. That's good. So there's the webcam cables. Let me get the bezel. Oh. I'm going to lay this down so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'll bring you over so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. How do we break here? Let's see now if we can get this bezel put back on correctly. I'm going to clean it out first. Well, I wasn't recording. I put the screws, well, I put the bezel back on. It was all fine. Put a new piece of tape over the webcam connector. And we've got it plugged in. And I'm just going to plug in the keyboard and mouse and power it up and see what happens. So we have a blank Crucial 250 gig SSD inside. So I'm hoping that this has a built-in recovery OS feature that will allow me to install Mac OS. I should have looked at the speakers while I was in there. I do have a MacBook hard drive handy that I could boot off of if this doesn't have a recovery drive built in. Okay, so there's my flashing question mark. Let's power it off. And we'll power it on with the holding the Option key down on the keyboard. Oh, that's not what I want at all. I want the recovery system. So Command R, I'll boot holding down Command R. Hopefully we'll go into the recovery mode. Nope. Okay, this older Mac doesn't have the built-in recovery drive. So I'm going to, and I don't have the original system drive to boot from, the CD that would have come with this. So I'm going to hope that it will boot off of a USB external hard drive. We'll find out here in a second. Here we go. Okay. It doesn't like this mouse. Plug it into the keyboard. Will that help? No. Oh, that has worked. This is going to take a while. Okay, well, the computer wouldn't boot off of that external hard drive, so I'm booting off of the Mac OS X Snow Leopard installer. This machine is licensed for OS X, so this should be perfectly legal. It's just going to require a couple of OS X upgrades. I'll have to go from Snow Leopard to, I think it's Mountain Lion, and then Mavericks, and then Yosemite, and then up to El Capitan. So 1, 2, 3, 4 Mac OS upgrades. And then El Capitan is the newest OS X that this hardware will support. Utilities, disk utility. I need to format my disk. Oh, I do not like that keyboard. So 250 gigabyte Crucial MX500, erase that, call it Crucial SSD. Yep. Okay. Let's install onto that drive. Right, so this is working. That was fun. Thanks for watching.